fix for a big fail is someone broken as you. Smoke up, landslide. I kinda wanna feel happy inside, 'cause we're playing off the rails. And don't you know of all the good things you've done? What a goddamn waste of time. I couldn't make lemonade, my lemons were too bitter. I couldn't make a single thing of my situation. Spit 'em out of the wall, don't wanna try hard anymore. I couldn't make lemonade of my tough situation. My A lobotomy. It's buy one get one free for someone broken as you.
Let me see. Where is Izzy Baxter Phillips?
Hello.
There she is. How are you doing, Izzy?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate that.
No problem. My pleasure.
Of course, we have, the lead singer and guitarist of Black Brownie, Izzy Baxter Phillips. I know Baxter is our middle name, endearing middle name. But yeah, Fistful of Peaches, great album out last year for my audience, and the new single Lemonade. Congratulations, it's a raging success, and it's really, really great, actually, Izzy.
Thank you so much.
Of course. But yeah, always great to see you, Izzy. Love your band, love everything you guys stand for. And, Izzy, let's start with this because, I always love to talk about like bands and their influences and all that stuff. And I was reading about you, Izzy, and your love for kind of like Nirvana and the White Stripes and all that stuff. What was your first concert, Izzy? What was your first concert?
My first concert, I think, well, it depends if you count like Party in the Park when I was like 7, because I don't remember enjoying that at all. I remember hating it. And being like really frustrated that I couldn't see the stage. So I don't really count that one, but the first one I properly remember going to was it was Good Charlotte with my friend Charlotte, and then shortly after that was Biffy Clyro, who I'm still a huge fan of.
Okay, Good Charlotte, that's a good one. That's a good one because seeing you guys perform, I mean, I've been seeing some videos of you in Barcelona and some other festivals, Izzy. I can't remember which one, but there is like there's like a theater element to your shows, Izzy, like to the proceedings and like David Bowie. So, and it's more than a show, basically. So I was thinking, like maybe was there like a show? Was it Good Charlotte? Was there something else that you saw as little Izzy Baxter in the UK and you were like, that's what I want to do with my life?
I don't know if I decided then that's what I wanted to do in my life, but I do remember thinking like, that it was just so amazing to hear the music live in the room and experience the energy of a lot of the crowd. I really enjoyed being in a mosh pit and like getting on my friend's shoulders and getting stuck into the live music energy. One sec, I can just have a call in the room next to us. I'm just going to close the door.
Cool. Yeah, that's really interesting you mentioned that because definitely that UK passion is like one of the best ones in the world, Izzy. As I'm sure you know, it's not like that everywhere in America, But yeah, but Izzy, like at what point did you go from, because you lived that experience as a fan and that energy, but at what point do you make your shift to be like, you know what, like I can actually do this, like I can write songs. I met Chris. But like I think I am capable of like transferring this energy that had influenced me into like I can actually like do this. I can be the vessel.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point to make because I remember thinking that I was going to be a guitarist for ages and then realizing that I wasn't really that great at guitar or like cared that much about it. And so I think I got into the idea of writing songs, but didn't really know how to write them, but knew that I would enjoy performing on stage. But it also felt at the time like if you think that you can get on stage and entertain someone, you better be good at it. Like it sort of felt like arrogant or something to be like, oh, like I can be the person that you look at and take all your attention for this amount of time. Like, I don't know, I just felt like you're either a bit delusional, or you're a bit arrogant, or a bit of both. And turns out I must have had both of those qualities, because look at me now.
But I think you have to be, like you said, Izzy. And, I feel like you get overlooked sometimes in the conversation when people talk about, the great rock females, front women that we have right now. People talk about Wet Leg, friend of our show, Larkin Poe, Hayley Williams, that kind of stuff. And I think you're right up there, quite honestly. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I feel very honoured that you would consider me in that category. Sometimes I think when you're an artist, you have like delusions of grandeur, and sometimes you think, oh, I'm amazing at something, and then the rest of the time you just have really low self-esteem and you feel like you can't do anything, and it's sort of a pendulum between those two experiences. So like I know that like when I go on stage, like I like how Nick Cave kind of talks about people or artists go for a transformation when they're on stage. Definitely relate to that, because I don't really think I'm the same day to day as I'm on stage. But I think I think this is all part of being an artist, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and I want to keep doing it, to be honest with you. I just, as long as I can keep performing and touring and having fun with my band, then I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? You kind of forget about like, how do I want to be seen, or how do I want to be compared? Yeah. You just think more about, what would I enjoy doing in my life? Yeah. And this is it, Also, if I thought too much about that stuff, I think I would be putting too much pressure on myself to become something great,
Well, and I think the secret to Black Bunny, quite frankly, I mean, I do think this is your purpose, but I think that just more the theater element, or the music, just listening to your lyrics. I mean, you're a heck of a songwriter, Izzy. And I think that like a song like Lemonade, it's great. It's a great tune. It's catchy. You hear it in the airports. It's awesome. But there's depth to it. There's depth to it. There's like, I think it's like, there's like a societal criticism to it, I think. And I think that is what really sets you like to a deeper level. People may not even know it. You know what I mean? I think you're getting into like deeper themes.
Thank you. I try. Well, I find everything really unbearably shallow most of the time. And so I think when artists try and write songs, they're trying to access the deeper things. I think words don't service us very well, especially in expressing the nuances of situations. Like, it's only since doing therapy that I've realised that everyone experiences like multifaceted, layered, and quite deeply textured emotions. And like, you can experience 7 different emotions at the same time, and they all have like an interlinking thing. And the only thing that we actually get to like create that is music. Like, we have like happy and sad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that language has got some really great words out there, and like, I love finding out unusual words and descriptions, but we don't really, we use the sort of the lowest denominator of communication and expression day to day. And this just feels like a space where I can express something more. Not to say that I'm trying to do stuff like intellectual style. Like, sometimes it happens naturally. You can't force it, because if you force it, then it will just sound like you're trying to make a point rather than saying just whatever you feel at the time. I do have quite a critical viewpoint on, like, I think I am a bit of a punk in terms of how I see things, and feel a bit like, what's the fucking point? Most of the time I'm just like, we're on this dead, burning planet that we're all just fucking up, and it's like, it's hard to not see that reality for what it is and be like, what's the point in like bringing kids into this world, and what is the point in doing anything, and like why were we sent to school to be trained to become like these like capitalistic like machines, when like school we didn't learn anything other than how to like earn someone else more money or a corporation more money. And like no one in school taught you, oh, like here's how you look after yourself, or like here's how you regulate your emotions, or all the shit that I could have done with learning. Like I didn't learn any of that. I've just been like I just got good academically because that's what earns money. Do you know what I mean? Like, my whole outlook is probably quite critical, to be honest.
I see what you're saying, and I relate. It's almost like, how well can you memorize the system? You know? Yeah, exactly. Totally, I hear you. But I'll tell what I think it is. And you're in therapy. You mentioned you're in therapy, which is great. Everyone should go to therapy. Have you maybe thought? Because I was thinking about this, that I think part of your purpose, Izzy, is, I mean, you've talked about ADHD and mental health for a minute now, but part of the devotion that so many people connect to you and your band and the young fans is because you're not only making them rock, but you're also giving them insights into their minds. You're giving them insights into fulfillment versus like shallow joy. Have you thought about that? Like maybe like part of the journey that you're intended to do is kind of to spread that love that you are like harboring within yourselves.
Well, I really like. I think that's a very flattering perspective. I find it hard to know about purpose. Like we're speaking a fair bit about that here, but I don't know if I believe that I was meant for something so much. I know what in a way I know what I'm meant to be doing to be happy, but I don't know if there's like necessarily much of like a spiritual element that I have to that. But I do feel like driven, I guess is the right word, like to create a space for people that I relate to or that I know like are experiencing similar things to myself. And like, I've always felt like an alien or an outsider my whole life. And so the only time that I feel like I can be myself is almost through music and on stage. And I think that there's probably more common than I've realized. Like people are quite lonely, like beings are lonely. And because of also like what this structure is of society that we've created, where it's like, I think we're supposed to be like in tribes and we're supposed to be like, you know, making music, singing around a campfire. We're supposed to be painting the cave walls, and we're engineered to function really well in this kind of more primitive version of life. And now we're in this world where we're all in flats in a city with artificial lights, and no one's even building fires really that much, and at least in the Western world. And you know, we're not really doing all of the things that our innate programming is conditioned to. And I find it funny because I went on holiday recently and we had a villa that was heated by fires, and it made me tap into something in me that felt like comforted and soothed by the humanity of building a fire and being real. And I just think that there's a disassociation, like generationally, between like what will actually give us happiness and fulfillment, and what we created now. Like we have no biological programming that's gonna protect us or like can navigate social media. Like there's no genetics code for that, so obviously it's gonna fuck with our heads and make us depressed, you know.
It's so interesting. Why do you think, and thank you for your time, Izzy, you know, just a couple more questions, but why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that, because I'm totally with you. I totally connect with what you're saying. I think the same. Why do you think that? I feel like it's almost like being done on purpose by somewhere, somehow, some who, like that they're taking us away from that contact with nature, social media fucking us up, shit, all the food that is like blocking our third eye, all that shit. Why do you think that is? It's just between us two here.
Interesting. I like the theory that there's a higher power, but I think I read this thing the other day about generational amnesia, they called it, where it was like basically for every 10 years that passes, we get 10 years more forgetful of like what came before us. So just like, you know how like boomers are really good at map reading because they didn't have iPhones, like, or I couldn't do, if you handed me a map, I wouldn't even know what to do with it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure there's versions of people in the future that will have different things like that. And even just beyond that generation, there's, you know, people that used to use the stars to navigate. Like, I think historically there's a sort of forgetfulness, and like I feel like, I don't know, like I love the idea of like there being some sort of spiritual embedded element to it, but it's almost, to me, like I feel like I wish there was, but I feel like there's just too much. We're just too much like these science experiments. We're too much like this creation, and like I feel so. I would love so much to have a more of a spiritual grounding, because people, if I felt like I had a spiritual direction or sense in what I was doing, I think I would feel more content with it. But I just feel so dystopian in respect to, like, I feel like we're put on this earth, and we just like, we're like these blobs, and we just like bobble about until we die, just like having an ant, when I had the ant farm, you know, when we were little, those kinds of things where it's just like we just fucking exist. And I feel like there's a beauty in that. You create, and you go in and you draw your life, you create your own fate, and you build your own destiny or whatever. Like, there's a power to it, in the sense that you're like, this is my, I feel like this world is also mine for the taking, and I want to go and enjoy it and see everyone and do everything and tap into my inner world as well. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
we could talk about that for 17 hours. And you know what? When we cross paths backstage somewhere, we'll continue that conversation. But let me leave you with this one, Izzy. You know, I have some friends in Nashville where we're based that are on your trajectory, where they step onto a festival and they make 60,000 people roar. But then I've seen firsthand that when you step off stage and you're finally unloading and you're by yourself, you're with yourself. Who is Izzy Baxter when you step off the stage? Like when you're with the people that love you and that you love, like, who are you? Like, what do you need and what matters to you?
I think I'm like much more childlike and more fragile, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a toddler. And I think like the caricature that I've invented for stage is like this super villain, and the more I'm like ripping off that cape, as it were, I feel more vulnerable and sensitive, and like the world just feels like incredibly raw and painful all the time. Like, the news makes me cry on a good week. You know, at the moment it's just like I feel like I'm beyond processing capacity with the amount of like worldwide devastation, war and deaths that we're having to process. Like, I'm still not like mentally recovered from seeing mass graves on COVID, or seeing like George Floyd getting killed on Twitter and shared around. Like, I feel that everything just hurts too much. Everything just, it's like 100 levels of no skin or something.
Yeah. Well,
I love my family, and I love spending time in the garden. I love gardening and being around nature.
Cool. Well, Izzy Baxter, you've said it all for today. Listen, you're a great artist, but an even better soul, and we're really happy that we got to connect, and that you have a support here in Nashville, and we hope to cross paths.
Oh, I'd love to come out to Nashville one day. It's an absolute dream to go and visit you guys.
Oh my God, there's a hole for you to bring that light. Whenever you want to come, it's right there for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Love the evening or day. Bye.